What up, everyone? It is Garrett from Elvis Duran and the Z100 Morning Show. Sitting in my kitchen, just like many of us are at home right now. I am glad that you are here with us because I don't know if you have tasted this before. I've had the pleasure of 21 Seeds infused tequila. Is pretty amazing. And the cool thing about what we're doing here with CEO Unplugged is we learn more, just not about the brand, but the person behind the brand, how it got started. Kat Hantas, how are you? Thank you for joining us today.
It is a pleasure to be here. I'm so excited to see you through the Zoom and not
Right.
wandering out in your forest,
Yeah,
which is the last place we saw each other, which was fun with
there was
neighbor
a
Tom.
backstory. Like when we first got to know each other, I was actually sledding with my kids and the neighbors, and I'm like, it looks like a Taylor Swift video, but that's besides the point. We're not here about that right now. We're here about this amazing brand that literally started from the ground up, and it's cool to watch the story of you, the brand, going from starting at like a one level to building up to the skyscraper. So let's start from the beginning. Where did 21 Seeds come from? Was it sitting at home one day and saying, you know what, I want to do this?
Yeah, you know what? The story starts in my kitchen, just like you're sitting there in your kitchen.
Yeah.
The story of 21 Seeds starts in my kitchen in a Brita, which is where I started initially infusing 21 Seeds back in the day. This was about, my God, it's been almost 10 years ago now. So I was a wine drinker. So I drank white wine, I drank rosé happily. I really enjoyed the whole ritual of drinking wine, holding the wine glass. And then one day it just stopped agreeing with me. I didn't know what it was in particular, but I went to my doctor. I said, listen, I'm not feeling great. What's going on? And he said, I want you to stop drinking fermented spirits. So no more wine, no more beer, no more champagne. There's still a lot of living organic matter in fermented that
Right.
just gets harder to metabolize as you go on, as you drink more and, do
You
whatever
learn about
else
it
you're
as you get
doing.
older. Like when you're younger, you're like, ferment, whatever. Just give me as much ferment as possible. And then as you learn
Totally.
about it, you realized, well, maybe I shouldn't have been drinking all that fermentation at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, totally. And I said, okay, well, what should I drink instead? And I have two kids, and that not drinking was not an option. And he said I should switch to Blanco tequila. And really, he said just any distilled, switch
Right.
to distilled. But I recommend switching to Blanco. It comes from an agave plant, and it's got these other properties. So switch to a Blanco tequila. And I thought, wow, okay. Went home, was sort of hoping he was wrong. He was not wrong. The minute I stopped drinking the wine, within 3 days, I felt 100% better, and was sort of left looking at this Blanco tequila, which reminded me an awful lot of college, and those were not good memories. And I felt like, what the heck am I going to do to this Blanco to make it not smell like college and not remind me of, too many shots and all that kind of stuff. So thought, I got to do something to this. If this is what I'm drinking every night, I want to make it delicious and something I look forward to. And I love to cook, and I just started infusing it. And by actually infusing it, it completely changed that tequila forever. And I never look back. I can't drink just straight tequila anymore. I only drink infused tequila. I drink obviously 21 Seeds infused tequila, but truly, it really is a game changer. It smoothed it out tremendously. It cut that harsh bite of tequila. And I don't care
Right.
what kind of tequila you're buying, it has a harsh bite. And so just cut that harsh bite. It gave it a hint of flavor by infusing, as opposed to a lot of flavored spirits out there, which tend to be overly sugary, have this kind of weird aftertaste, like you're sucking on a nickel and smell like
Yeah,
a
you're
Jolly Rancher.
a lot of
Yeah, yeah, you're just like, what is that? I can't
I
even
need
put
some
my
water
finger on
after
it.
I drink.
Exactly. And I'm not a fan of flavored spirits. So for me, it was like, oh, thank God there's this other way to do it, which is infusion. And it changed it, and I could drink it every night. I actually drank it in a wine glass. I added club soda and a slice of orange. And I did that for years and years, like 8 years before I even thought about making it a business. But so many of my friends were asking me for bottles of infused tequila. They were also especially a lot of my girlfriends and guys I knew, especially younger guys, like 25 to 35-year-old guys, really into wellness and fitness.
Right.
They were asking, who I knew, they'd ask me for bottles, and they were moving away from wine, beer, champagne to tequila because they wanted to, move away from they wanted lower carb, less sugar,
Less
just all of
bubbles.
those things, right? Less bubbles. And they were moving over to tequila, and they were either asking me for bottles of my tequila, or if we were out at a restaurant or bar, I'd see them order, just a shot of tequila with like some club soda on the side and some limes, fresh limes. And to me, it was sort of like, wow, that's kind of just not there's got to be a better way. There's
Right.
got to be another option.
And that's how a lot of businesses start too. Like you see a hole in there in the world, and you're like, how do I fill this? How do I make this better? This situation that I'm sitting in right now. And it's kind of like how you came about. Thinking back 10 years ago, Kat, do you remember the first drink you made versus
Oh,
where you're
totally.
at today? And
Oh,
was
yeah.
it compare the two, where you're at today versus that first infused tequila that you made? Is it like night and day, or is it pretty much the same?
You're going to not believe this when I tell you this, but my very first infusion was cucumber jalapeno. That was the first infusion that I
The
made.
baby, it's your baby.
It's our baby. And not only that, it's our best seller. It is our best seller of the 3 SKUs. So we have 3 infusions. There's cucumber jalapeno, there's Valencia
Which is
orange.
delicious, by the way.
Oh yeah. Thanks for saying that. I love hearing it. You never tire as a founder of hearing people loving your product. Like that's the one thing you never get tired of. Many questions you get asked, hearing something like hearing that people are loving 21 Seeds. I never get tired of hearing.
Good.
But so there's cucumber jalapeno, Valencia orange, and grapefruit hibiscus. So those are the 3 infusions.
The other thing I love when we first started talking to about the business is the fact that, as you were just saying, you love to hear the feedback, but then the follow-up question that you normally get is, who's your doctor? Because people want because people want to use that whatever type of doctor that would subscribe to drinking tequila.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure that's the other question you get a ton of.
A ton of everyone. You know what? At some point, we're going to have to do like a mystery game of like trying to unearth who my doctor is, because I'm putting it out there, like to all
Dr.
the
Oz pops out of nowhere, you and I are going to have some questions.
But you know what this brings me to actually is another point, which is the reason why I then thought about, turning it into a business, right, was really this idea of balance, right? Like my doctor was quite wise. Like he didn't tell me to stop drinking because that's just not reality, And, but he said, there's a better way to do it, right? There's a better way to do it. And that really is at the core, really what this brand is. One of the main things the brand's about, which is you don't have to you can have it all, right? And it's not at the same time. And there's just got to be a balance. And what I was finding that was going on in the spirits industry, as I was looking at the industry, it was like, there were, right before the pandemic, a lot of articles being written about how like millennials aren't drinking, right? Like these younger kids aren't drinking. And I would say that they actually were drinking, but what were they drinking is the question, right? They were drinking RTDs, right? Ready to drinks, spike seltzers in record numbers, right? But there was a lag, right? It's sort of like the industry sort of stopped listening to the audience. You see it sometimes happen with DJs,
which is the problem
in your business, right? Like
come on.
I know you not your type
not
of
me
DJ,
specifically,
but
but I get it.
At a party, right? You're at a party and there's a DJ playing and no one's dancing, and now
because
I gotta go.
They know best, yeah.
Exactly, and it's like you gotta always watch the crowd, and it's true in any business. You gotta watch the crowd, and the minute you take your eye off the crowd, you lose something. And I think that was what was going on in spirits. It's like, cocktails had gotten so complicated with so many ingredients in the bars and restaurants right before COVID. It was like they were so elaborate and very caloric, quite honestly, right? They were like 400 to 500 calories, and the next day you can only have one of those, and say you did have 3, that's like a ton of chocolate bar equivalents, right? And the next day you feel like crap and you're not productive. And for this younger millennial, it was like that wasn't going to work for them. So they just stopped buying those cocktails in the bars and restaurants, and the numbers went down. And instead they would drink at home. They would just drink their RTDs, and they were drinking those in record numbers. So the industry sort of reacted by creating like alcohol that doesn't have alcohol in it, which to me is like, I guess that's a way to go, but I don't think that's really solving the real problem. The real problem is make these drinks in the bars and restaurants, just make them lighter. And with 21 Seeds, right, we're an infused tequila. You just add club soda and it's a spike seltzer, right? Like you're basically creating a lighter way to drink. And we're really looking to do that with, our call out is Seed and Soda, super easy, just 21 Seeds plus club soda. It's a delicious cocktail. You garnish it beautifully. and you want to drink it. And so I saw this trend that was going on that like, wow, they'd really stopped listening to the audience. So there's a competitive advantage there. If I can create cocktails that do, appeal to what the way these younger folks want to be drinking, that's a great thing. And then separately, like in the tequila aisle, when we took that field trip down the tequila aisle to see what was there in that aisle that existed, does this product exist? And this was in 2018. So 3 years ago, if my math is correct, right? Almost 3 years ago.
Almost, yeah, give or take, depending on the month.
Exactly. And we're like Groundhog's Day these days. All the days are blending into the next day.
It's only been 2 months. It's only been 2 months since we've been.
Exactly. But we walked down the aisle and, there were all these tequilas that had come on the market. So many new tequilas, right? Like all Blanco, Reposado, Añejo, all being really marketed like scotches and whiskeys to a male consumer, right? Like you sip it, even it was called sipping tequila, right? Like,
and the industry itself is very male dominated.
Completely.
Like, it's like men talking to men or men trying to talk to women. And it feels more like a hit, more misses than hits. But that's where you come in, where you're like, what? I'm going to shake things up. I'm going to rattle the cage of this male driven industry. And I mean, for you as a CEO, is it a roller coaster? Is it, do you feel like you have to push back a little bit harder than the other bottle companies that are out there, the other tequila brands that are out there?
Yeah. So, in some ways, actually, because there was nothing like our product on the market, and we benefited from some good timing in that, we brought this product to market and we pretty much hit every trend that was going on in spirits at the time. So that was lucky, right? I do think there's a bit of luck in all of this. I used to work in the film industry, and in the film industry, like so much of it too is luck, right? But I also think
it's all timing,
it's timing. And I think that the thing is to take advantage of the luck, right? Like to see the trends and to capitalize on the trends. And so there was nothing like our product in the market. And again, speaking to the luck piece, the timing piece, the Kettle Botanicals had just come out in the vodka aisle, and they really had done really well, which sort of pointed to the way this consumer wanted to be drinking, sort of this better for you option, that did not exist in the market. And there was nothing like that in the tequila aisle. So in that regard, it was much easier to sell it into the retailers, I would say, than I think our bigger hurdle was just earlier in the gatekeeper, in the funnel, is really the distributors, because the distributors at first, now we have this incredible relationship. We have a national alignment with Southern Wine and Spirits, which is the largest.
That's huge, yeah.
Yeah, Southern Glazer Wine and Spirits in the country. And we also have great smaller distributors, just for certain states where Southern isn't, like Allied in New Jersey, who's amazing for us, and Best Brands in Tennessee, or down in Georgia with General. So we've got great smaller distributors as well. But the point is that initially when we were first launching, they kind of, there are no female founded spirits companies in the world of tequila that were looking to target a female consumer as well. And that's the second
doesn't work
piece.
For the madmen sitting in the boardroom. Oh, this is not going to work.
I love that you said madmen, because part of why there's the business reasons why you want to start a company, and then there's the other things that make absolutely no sense at all, right? Like someone's like, I've always wanted to own a piece of a restaurant or whatever. For me, I love that you said madmen, because there was never a spirit, right, that, like I'm not a whiskey drinker or vodka drinker or bourbon drinker, like those are not
you and I have that in common, I could tell you that.
There you go. And so there was never a spirit that I could have living on my bar cart that I could just pop the cork off of and get like a huge crystal, like tumbler, heavy tumbler, and just pour it neat like they do in Mad Men, right? It's like every episode of Mad Men, they're pouring themselves a cocktail in the middle of the day, right? And they just go there, and there's no ice, and there are no mixers or garnishes or anything. They just pour it neat. And I'm like, oh, where's that spirit for girls, right? Like, where's that spirit, or people who don't drink whiskey in your case,
Right.
Garrett, like maybe it's 21 Seeds that lives on your bar cart. I hope so. Cause that was my dream. That was my like not rational reason to start a tequila company, so that I could have a spirit that I could literally pour neat into a heavy crystal tumbler and drink it. And I'm
So,
like,
so at the end of the day, what you're saying is we should be thanking John Hamm and not you.
no, totally. And in fact, if you know John Hamm, we should send him a couple of cases of tequila, of
I think
21
he would be
Seeds
open to it.
tequila.
I think he
Let's
would
do
be
it,
open
John
to it.
Hamm, if you're listening.
So
Let us
talking
know
about
your address.
so taking on this battle of entering a very, dominated industry, what are your challenges? Like, what are, as a CEO, just as a new, not just whether it male, female, just a new company in general, trying to break into, we all have the common brands we all know and love or have tried. So for you, what do you do differently? Like, what are some of your
Yeah,
battles, and what do you guys do differently to approach
totally.
getting a new customer?
Yep, absolutely. So, traditionally in spirits, right, you build awareness in the on-premise, so in the restaurants and the bars, right? And the hope is that somebody walks into a bar and has this like great conversation with a bartender, where they tell them about, maybe a single barrel whiskey or scotch or something like that, or you have like a great, delicious cocktail on a menu, and you think, I love that, I want to replicate that. And that's how it's done in the spirits industry traditionally, right? You build it in the on-premise, and then you sell your bottle in the off-premise, which is where you buy it, like whether you're buying it at a grocery store or a big liquor store or liquor store, that's the off-premise. So that's the whole chain of distribution, that whole thing. And where we really looked to disrupt with 21 Seeds is in that first part of that distribution chain,
Right.
right? And by the way, this is true of for other entrepreneurs out there, right? Like when you're looking to disrupt an industry, it's like always look to the distribution channel first. Like, how does that product get distributed, and see if you can disrupt there. Tricky thing about spirits is that entire distribution channel, like the first part and the second part, is protected by a law, right? Like the 21st Amendment, actually 21C, that overturned prohibition. So there's a 3-tier system. You can't go around it. So there will always be this, like, I'm a supplier, I sell to a distributor, the distributor sells to a retailer sells to you. That's always going to happen. So where can you disrupt in a model like that that's protected by a law? And what
Right.
we looked at was, okay, who's our consumer? Our consumer, first and foremost, our default consumer is a female consumer. So where is she going to discover brands? And fortunately for us, she's not really discovering brands in a bar or restaurant, right? She's discovering brands through her friends, right? So Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, like her immediate friends
Right.
in real life, like IRL, right?
The
Like
best
that's,
influencers.
yeah. So either that way, or she's discovering brands online, right? Whether she's reading about, a restaurant she wants to go to, or a clothing line that she's interested in, or a skincare line, or, where to go on vacation. That's happening on like, Refinery 29, Pop Sugar, Goop, Well and Good, Bustle. Like, she's going online to get that information. So for us, we thought, okay, it's very expensive to launch a brand in the on-premise because it requires a lot of, you have to have a lot of people working for the brand to go in and educate, and we just didn't have those resources. So we thought, okay, that's not really where we should be looking. Let's really look to where she's discovering brands, which is in this, I like to call it the outer premise. So
Right.
this online digital universe where she's either reading about us, or getting recommended a friend recommendation or something through, again, Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram. So we focus totally in this outer premise, and that's how we really disrupted, and that's how we were able to get our brand out there in a really huge way. And of course, again, it's, timing is everything. So we did this right before the pandemic hit. This is how we launched 21 Seeds, all through this outer premise. And then the pandemic hit. So that really pushed the industry to move online anyway.
And
And
pivot.
we
Yeah.
had that
Learn how to
huge,
pivot.
that's right. And we already had that huge head start. We already knew who our customer was. We knew exactly what she was reading and where to find her, and, and how to present the brand and put it in places where she was looking. We went to where she was. We
Right.
weren't trying to have her come find this in a bar or restaurant. Like, we went to where she was. And then that allowed us to take that that information and those early sales allowed us to then get into more off-premise accounts really quickly. So like all the different chains that carry our brand now, like we're rolling into Walmart now, and we're at Target, and we're Whole Foods nationally, and
it's interesting
Bevmo,
though. Yeah, it's interesting how you say that, Dill, because I think you can agree where a lot of big brands are they get comfortable. They get comfortable in the sense of we'll just sell based off of the name alone and not looking over their shoulder where there's the rookie 21 seeds coming into
That's
play,
right.
coming in hot and doing something that they're not doing. And they don't know how to do it because they've just been so comfortable in just like, oh, we'll just go off of name alone and hope for the best.
Absolutely. And by the way, if we want to like learn a lesson from another industry, you can look to music, right? Music did the same thing where they thought, okay, we're just going to charge, we're going to keep charging our customers for 14 songs, even though they just want 2 hits.
Right.
Because we're the gatekeepers and they have to go through us, and you have to buy it at Tower Record. And now Tower Record's gone, and along came Napster, and along came Spotify and Apple Music, the next
And
iterations of
iHeartRadio.
Napster. And iHeartRadio, exactly.
Wink.
And iHeartRadio. And look, you all completely changed the industry forever. In fact, should we do that as a takeover?
No, not at all.
Start with iHeartRadio?
My wink will be queuing up. My wink will be queuing up.
I work in media. I get it.
Don't worry about it. So Kat, what would you point to for the success of 21 Seeds personally, just, as the CEO, but also as, a consumer? What would you see the success? Where does it come from?
So that's a really good question. Everything I just described, none of that matters if the product isn't incredible. That is first and foremost. You got to get the product right. You got to nail the product. Otherwise, you could do all the branding in the world. You could throw all the money at it in the world. If the product does not deliver on the promise that it makes to its consumer, that it's going to taste as fresh and delicious as that label looks, our 21 Seeds label looks, then it's a non-starter. Like it's just a wasted effort. And so we really, we needed to make sure that the product we were putting out on shelf was as good, if not better, than what I was making at home, right? When I was doing it small batch and individual, Brita bottles worth. And now at scale where we're making, we've scaled up. We grew last year in 2020, we launched in 2019. And in 2020, we grew 900%.
Which is insane.
Which was insane.
Which is incredible, but also in thinking about the whole perspective is insane in a great way.
Yeah, because we had to scale up production to meet the demand of the consumer who wanted this product. And really, we were looking to create a tequila that is as easy to drink as a glass of wine. That is that's my elevator pitch.
It is true. And I love the elevator pitch too. It's like and for those that are unfamiliar with an elevator pitch in the sense of just think of an elevator ride. You have your boss in front of you, or you have a potential buyer in front of you. What's that 4-floor, 2-floor pitch going to be about whatever? And that's the perfect way to sum it up. If that's not already if that's not on the bottle, it should be on the bottle already in the back, like written on the bottom. But Kat, this is amazing. 21 Seeds. Now, I know if I say where should we get that, obviously through the website, but do you have a certain vendor that you love a little bit more than the rest? Where should we send everybody to go buy 21 Seeds and taste from themselves?
Yeah, well, I can never send anyone to one specific vendor. Not
of course,
allowed,
we love them all.
Actually, we love them all.
All right, so Kat, congratulations, 21 Seeds.
Go to the website.
Go to the website.
So to answer your question, go to the website as a starting point. 21 Seeds. Type in your zip code, or you can buy from the website too, and you can find out everywhere we're sold. But again, Whole Foods, Total Wine and More, Bevmo.
If you have a store near you,
Walmart.
There's a good chance you're going to find 21 Seeds. Let's just put it that way. If there's a store near you that sells any type of alcohol to a degree, there's a good chance. I'll play the odds. I'll go to Vegas and play the odds.
And if you don't have it, walk in there and demand your 21 Seeds, like the old MTV commercials, remember? I want my seeds.
And if not, we'll find it in Alaska. We'll all go to Alaska, and that's where we'll get our 21 Seeds if your store doesn't have it. So, Kat, thank you for everything. I do appreciate it, and enjoy some 21 Seeds responsibly, of course.
Seeds responsibly. Thanks, Garrett.